Hello, everyone, and welcome to our free training Thursdays here at Abacus Next. This is just a quick note to let you know we will be starting in just under 5 minutes, so there's plenty of time if you needed to grab yourself a refreshing beverage. Again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be getting started in 5 minutes. Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome again to our free training Thursdays webinar at Abacus Next. This is just to let you know that we will be getting started in 1 minute. So 1 minute until we get underway. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this free training Thursdays webinar presented to you by Abacus Next. My name is Chris Tobert. I'm a software trainer here at Abacus Next. The title of today's webinar, Take Your Practice With You with Amicus Attorney Mobile App. But before we begin, just one housekeeping item. Because of the number of people on this webinar, all attendees are muted upon entry. If you have any questions during the session, please submit them to me using the question feature in the Go to Webinar panel on the right side of your screen. We will be making every effort to answer any of these questions at the end of the webinar. However, if we run out of time or if there are any remaining questions that have not been addressed, we will respond to these via email. And with that, let's get started. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, just a quick couple of notes about the Amicus Attorney mobile app that our developers have been hard at work putting together. It is currently in the beta stage. It is, however, slated to be released for the general public very soon. And indeed, at the end of today's webinar, we'll be going over how you can, in fact, become a beta member, which will allow you early access to the application, provided, of course, you wish to, and you meet the requirements. And again, we'll have some more information about that at the end of the webinar. The mobile app will be available for the iPhone and Android devices, as well as for tablet devices with some limitations. And with the Amicus Attorney mobile app, you will have access to your files. You'll be able to make and review notes and time entries, and it will allow you to communicate with your clients via email or telephone. So you should be able to see on your screen now a synthesized or virtual version of the Amicus Attorney mobile app. Those of you that are familiar with Amicus Anywhere will undoubtedly notice a lot of similarities between the two platforms. Of course, the Amicus Attorney mobile app is streamlined for a mobile device, so of course your smartphone, as well as a tablet. And the screen you can see in front of you here is your login screen. So you'll be logging in with your Amicus Attorney primary email address, so that email address that you put in to your user profile, as well as the same password that you would use to log in to Amicus Attorney on the desktop. So let's go ahead and log in. And again, same password as you would on the desktop application. And now we're in the Amicus Attorney mobile app. So today we're logged in as Bobby Donnell. Bobby is our fictional lawyer that is using the mobile app. And you can see here a couple of the areas that are frequently used on the Amicus Attorney desktop application. You have, of course, your files module. You also have your time entry. So on the desktop version, it's called timesheets, but the similar principle holds. We have phone calls, notes. Right. And for those of you that are familiar with Amicus Attorney, you will know that notes are your primary means of logging information on your files or matters. We have settings, and then we have the option to sign out. So we'll be going through each of these areas one by one in today's webinar. And we'll start with the files. So of course, your files or matters in Amicus, right, your primary means of managing all the information on your work. And of course, you will have seamless access to all of your Amicus files that you would have in your desktop version. The only difference is here is that Amicus, the mobile app, will keep tabs of your most recent accessed files. And here we have 3 recently accessed files, or we can of course search for any of our files. And these would include any files that you have access to in the desktop application. So we're going to go into Bailey Ree Kipling, and you can see underneath the name of the file are the primary clients on that file. So Janet Bailey is the primary client on this file. And here we can see a brief overview of the file. We have our client and matter IDs, the file type. We have a section for the primary client. And from here, we can either opt to send Janet an email or log a phone call, which we'll do in a little bit. We can see other people or other contacts on the file. So here we have Douglas Brackman and R. Kipling, who also have roles on this file. We have the open date, the status, and a little further down, we can actually bring up the summary of this file so we can get a quick snapshot about what this file is all about. Back up to the top of our view here. As I said, we can go ahead and either phone or email Janet right from here simply by clicking on the icons, or in the case of in a smartphone environment, you would be tapping on the icons. So we can tap the envelope to send an email to the client. And we can go ahead and, of course, add any information we want here. This is kind of a pre-scripted environment, so it already has some information. The subject line would already be filled in. The email address would already be filled in. All we would have to do is put in the body of our email and then, of course, click send. Now, if you click send, Amicus will always ask if you wish to do a time entry. So you're able to capture the time that you spent logging or writing the email to the client. Amicus is going to keep tabs on how long you spend typing that email. And then, of course, you have the option to create either a time entry or simply no thanks to skip it. The same principle holds for our phone calls. If we tap on the phone icon, we can opt to choose which phone number on Janet's contact that we're going to be dialing, either her business or her home number. Let's go ahead and click on business. Amicus will dial the phone for you, and it will keep tabs of how long you spend on the phone with the client. So once you click end or hang up the call, Amicus will then ask you if you wish to do a time entry. If we click yes, so we have here a description of the phone call. And we'll say no thanks for the time entry, actually. Okay. And of course, we can do both an email or a phone call to the client, as well as anyone else on the file. Clicking on the plus symbol, the top right-hand corner of your screen, you have the option to do a new time entry. So if you're doing a time entry, for example, for a meeting that you just finished with Janet, you can simply pull out your smartphone and do a time entry for that time that you spent with Janet. You can also create a new phone call or log a new phone call, as well as create a new note for the Bailey Kipling file. Let's go back to our home screen here. So that covers the files. Underneath files, we have the option to do time entries. And you don't just have the option to do time entries with the mobile app, you also have the ability to review previous time entries as well as make edits as needed. We can also create a new time entry right from here. The only difference from where we saw before, where we were given the option to create a time entry on the Bailey Kipling file, is that we would need to tell Amicus which file we're going to be doing a time entry for. We would, of course, have to tell Amicus how long we spent doing whatever it is that we're going to be billing for. Amicus will, of course, put in the date for us, and then we have the option to put in a description. Once that's done, the time entry will be created, will be listed here in your view of recently created time entries, and you can, of course, open up any of these time entries and modify any of the information that you put in beforehand. Now, a quick note about time entries. Creating a time entry with the mobile app will create an unposted time entry. You would still need to post the time entry at the office or have someone else do it in your stead before it will be a posted time entry. It will remain an unposted time entry when you're creating time entries via the mobile app. We have the option to create phone calls, so you don't necessarily have to open up a file. You can go ahead and just click phone calls or tap phone calls, and from here you can search your contacts to create a phone call or review a phone call rather. If you are going to be logging a phone call, again, the plus symbol at the top, you would be selecting the file, selecting the contact, and then logging your information, and then you have the option to dial out to Janet. Under notes, as I said before, notes are your primary means of logging information on your files in the desktop application. Of course, we did want to extend that functionality to the mobile app. And here you can see we have our recent notes, and we can, of course, search if this list were longer. In this case, we only have the 2 notes available to us, and that is because we're currently set to filter for the last 7 days. So only notes that have been created in the last 7 days will be in our list, but we can, of course, extend that for a further period to look further back in time. And from here, we can, of course, create a note. We don't have to be in an open file in the app. We can go ahead and create a new note. We simply need to tell Amicus which file this note will be associated with. And then we can go ahead and add our note. And clicking done will, of course, save the note. And it will, of course, automatically be accessible to everyone who is in the office working on the desktop application. When they go to the Bailey Rekipling file, they would immediately be able to see this note. I may have gotten a little bit ahead of myself by saying immediately, and that's a nice little segue to the settings section on the mobile app. This is where we can set the sync interval. So when I said immediately, my apologies, I may have misspoke. The sync interval will determine how frequently the Amicus mobile app will sync with your Amicus database at the office. So we are set for 5 minutes, which is the default, but you can actually set that back to 1 minute, or further down, you can set it for longer intervals. That will, of course, lessen the amount of times that Amicus is synchronizing with your database. That will, of course, save you on data usage. But of course, that would also cause the note to be slightly delayed and not accessible immediately to people in the office. And then, of course, the last option is to sign out of the application. And doing so, Amicus will ask you if you're sure you wish to sign out. All right, and that brings us up to the end of our webinar today. Hopefully this webinar was informative and useful. As I said, our developers are hard at work making the finishing touches on the mobile app. And as I said at the beginning of today's webinar, it is slated to be released for the general public very soon. In a few moments, I'll tell you how, if you wish to become a beta member, you can certainly test out the application earlier than that. There are, of course, going to be new features. Those of you that are longtime Amicus users will undoubtedly know we do spend a lot of time adding new features as we go. So based on feedback from our user base, we do foresee adding quite a few more features to the mobile app, but this is a great start. These are the areas that most of our users pointed out they wanted frequent access to on the go. And that's why we have access to our files, of course, as well as being able to log phone calls with our mobile app, as well as being able to log notes as well as see notes. So before we move on to the question and answer period, I do have a couple of quick polls that I'd like to put out to you. We, of course, do value your feedback, so we certainly want to encourage you to participate in the poll. The first poll, which should be on your screen momentarily, is what information, or if you would like information rather, about APC. And for those of you that are maybe not as familiar with APC, it's Abacus Private Cloud. The APC environment is fully in the cloud, which means that all of your information is accessible from anywhere in the world, much like the mobile app, but of course you have every single aspect of the desktop version in that case. And as I said, it's available in the cloud. This also negates the need to have your own IT infrastructure. Everything, hardware and software, is hosted by us. You simply need to have a device to connect to your secure environment, and therefore will be able to access not just your Amicus Attorney applications, but any other applications that you require. So if you'd like more information, we will be more than happy to reach out. Of course, that would be based on your responses to the poll. So I'll just give another 10 seconds here if anyone else wants to weigh in. I do see quite a few votes coming in already. And our second poll, what areas of Amicus Attorney would you like to see more webinars on in the future? And this really does drive what we attempt to do during our free Thursday webinars. So we certainly do encourage you to put in your polls, and I'll just open that right now. We have a couple of options: the Amicus Client Portal, which is always a very popular topic; capturing time in Amicus Document Assembly, another very popular topic and very powerful feature in Amicus Attorney; Abacus Payment Exchange, or APX, which will allow you to send or receive credit card and ACH payments from clients seamlessly. And then at the bottom, custom pages and records. So I'll just give you another 10 seconds or so to cast your vote. And as promised, just before we move on to the question and answer period, for those of you that are interested in signing up for a beta testing program. So as I said, we are slated to release the mobile app in the near future, but if you are chomping at the bit, as it were, and wanted to get early access, we certainly do welcome you to join our beta program. To do so, simply email us at beta@abacusnext.com. However, your firm must be running the latest version of Amicus Attorney and must currently be licensed for Amicus Anywhere in order for you to access the beta program. As always, if you have more questions about that, you can always reach out to your Abacus sales rep, and they would be more than happy to point you in the right direction or provide additional information. And with that, I would like to open up the floor for questions. I do see a couple of questions as they've come in. And I'll be addressing those in just a few moments, but just a quick reminder, there is a question feature or question function rather in the GoToWebinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen. A reminder, everyone is muted, so if you're talking into your microphone, unfortunately, I do not hear you. You would need to submit these questions via text, and again, that's on the right side of your screen that you can submit those questions to me. The first question, does one have to be using Microsoft Exchange for the mobile app to work? Yes, that is correct. Thank you very much for that question. That's something that I omitted to say. You do need to be set up for Exchange in order for you to email. That way the emails will be passed to your Exchange server and then on to the intended recipient. So yes, you would need to be integrated with a Microsoft Exchange server for this feature to work. The next question, when you initiate a phone call from the app, will your mobile number show on the caller ID or will it be blocked? Again, great question. Not one that I've actually ever been asked. My sense is going to be that the numbers will appear as normal. They will not be blocked. These phone calls are being sent right from your phone via the dialer of your chosen mobile device. So they would not be blocked unless, of course, that you had set your phone number to be blocked. The phone call is not routed through any of our servers or anything to do with Abacus. Those are straight through from your phone. But a great question. All right, the next question, what are the differences between Amicus Anywhere and the mobile app? Also a great question. For those of you that are maybe not familiar with Amicus Anywhere allows you to do very similar things to what we just saw with the mobile app. The only difference is it is not a dedicated mobile app. Amicus Anywhere is through your web browser. You can use it on a smart device, such as a telephone or a smartphone. It is a little bit clunky. It's not necessarily meant for a tiny screen. It's more meant for a tablet device for which Amicus Anywhere is optimized, or a web browser. So if you're on the road and you're checking in from your hotel, you might not, of course, have access to a VPN or virtual private network and still want to have access to elements of Amicus Attorney, such as your files, such as your contacts and notes, as well as being able to do time entries. You would use Amicus Anywhere. The major difference between Amicus Anywhere and the mobile app is, for the moment, Amicus Anywhere does allow you to access your documents. So if you've attached any documents to your files in the desktop version, you're able to access those documents through Amicus Anywhere, and you're also able to add documents to your files via Amicus Anywhere. Currently, that functionality does not exist with the mobile app, only with Amicus Anywhere. Otherwise, the differences between the two platforms are minute. There isn't that much to differentiate the two, other than, as I said, the mobile app is optimized for a small screen, which will enable you, of course, to quickly get around in the application. And another question, can you view your firm's calendar information through the app? That is a great question. And again, I may have not misspoke, but jumped the gun a little bit. Another difference between Amicus Anywhere and the mobile app is that currently, of course, you can see your calendar in Amicus Anywhere as well as the calendars of other firm members. With the app, that is currently not yet a feature. I do know, however, that our developers have noted that as a big ask, and one that a lot of our users that have already gone through the beta program have indicated they wish access to. So currently, no, it does not have access to your calendar, but that is certainly something that our developers have taken into consideration. And I, of course, can't make any promises, but it's certainly something that they are looking into. All right, the next question, will the app be released in Canada? Yes. So currently, as I said, the app is going to be released very soon, and there will be emails sent out to our entire user base to let them know when the application is available through either iTunes or the Android store. But from what I've been made to understand, it will be released simultaneously in Canada as well as the United States. And another question, will the app be a subscription or a purchase through iTunes? The app is subscription based, which means that you would need to purchase usage of the app through your sales rep. However, the app itself is free to download. All right, I don't see any further questions coming in. So with that, I will move on and go over to what now. So as always, for more training and support, please visit us on the web, abacusnext.com/support. And there you can sign up for training programs or training sessions with a dedicated trainer. These are a great resource for those of you that are new to Amicus, or for those of you that are maybe not new, but are interested in exploring more advanced features in Amicus, such as document assembly, such as custom pages and records, such as precedents, or even court rules. So again, we certainly do encourage you to visit us on the web, and there you can sign up for training sessions. You can also, of course, go to the same website, abacusnext.com/webinars, where you can sign up for future webinars held on Thursdays. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you found this session informative and useful, and I hope to see you at a future Free Training Thursdays webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, and have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day.